ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center.
Good evening, Bombers. I'm Mama John Knowles with your ZNS Total Sports. In news from the NBA, the league announcing that it has officially shut down team facilities to players and staff starting tomorrow to mitigate the coronavirus situation. In a memo from the league, the NBA has informed teams that players are allowed to travel out of market, but preference remains that the players stay in the cities they play. Players also will not be allowed to travel outside of North America. The coronavirus has caused a shutdown of sports leagues across the world, including the NBA, which was one of the first to act. A week removed from the decision to shut down following Rudy Gobert's positive test for the virus, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver sat down for a lengthy televised interview with ESPN's Rachel Nichols yesterday. During the interview, he discussed a number of topics, including what went into the league's decision to stop play, why NBA teams are being tested before regular civilians, how the league can play a unique role in society during these troubling times, and finally, whether or not they'll be able to finish the season. The International Olympic Committee says it has held constructive talks with athletes' representatives about the coronavirus crisis. President Thomas Bach recently admitted he was confronted with many questions over qualifications and restrictions, but he also insisted that everybody realize that there's still 4 months to go until Tokyo 2020. The summer showpiece is still scheduled to begin on July 24th, despite the cancellations of other sporting events. There's been mounting criticism from athletes with the IOC, accusing them of putting them in danger by insisting it remains fully committed to the games. Recently, Britain's Katrina Johnson-Thompson recently said training had become impossible. Bach saying that the committee recently had a great call with 220 athlete representatives from all around the world, and it was very constructive and gave the committee a lot of insight. The committee saying they will keep acting in a responsible way that is in the interest of the athletes, whilst always respecting the two principles, the safeguarding and the health of athletes contributing to the containment of the virus, and secondly, to protect the interests of the athletes and Olympic sport. Now, with no sports here at home or abroad for the foreseeable future, we caught up with some local sports fans and asked them how they're coping without being able to watch some of their favorite teams and players.
It's a little sad, obviously, because, you're prepared. You already have in your brain, when NBA is coming up, you already know what days you're going to be watching the games and stuff. And I know my son is an avid fan of NBA, so he's a little disappointed. We're going to obviously have to find something else to keep us busy. It's going to be a little rough, but at the end of the day, our health and their health is obviously the most important thing that you could ever do. And something like this virus, you really have to make the precautions because we don't want this to end up getting bigger than it already is.
Personally, it's boring. Like you said, there's nothing on TV, nothing on YouTube, nothing to look forward to. So we just home doing nothing. And personally, I play fantasy, so fantasy season is washed. Like there's nothing to look forward to. You just sit at home and do nothing.
I feel some type of way about it, but I think then again it's for everyone's safety because you don't know who has it from who doesn't have it, and then you have people constantly with sports, you use your hands basically 99% of the time, so you don't want to cough and then you're putting your hands on the ball or the glove or something and someone else touching it. So I think basically it's for a good cause.
The Lakers is my team, so not being able to watch them is really hard, but try to find something else, in the meantime, whatever I can do to subsidize them or to just find better time to to spend my time other than watching sports. But hopefully that we'll be able to find a cure or find a vaccine fast enough or quick enough, and then we'll be able to resume life as we once knew it.
It's really interesting to see and how it's spreading so fast now. But with them shutting down like basketball and everything, I totally approve of it because we have to try and figure out how to get a handle on it so that it doesn't get any worse than it already is.
Monday to Friday has been completely short. There's no games going on, but something that I think is crazy interesting. You have a month off now, so you have players like I'm a Sixers fan. Embiid and Simmons, they were injured. We have a whole month now to recover and come back for that playoff push. So there is a small silver lining on this. Sixers going to the finals, that's as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the University of the Bahamas' athletic program also feeling the effects of the stoppage of both local and international sports, with several upcoming track meets having to be postponed. We caught up with UB's athletic director Kimberly Roll on how they are dealing with the fallout.
Just like any other institution, it is affecting us. The University of Bahamas Athletics program would have had several international trips lined up for the spring semester. And so the university has taken a stance that it will not do any travel in a way to, guard and protect its campus as best as possible. And so obviously the athletics department fall within that. And so we won't be doing any trips for the remainder of the spring. I know that has huge implications, particularly for Ken Mullings Jr. and Kendrick Thompson, who were on the verge of making the Olympic qualifier in the decathlon. But I think also in addition to that is even if we were planning trips, we don't even know that some of these meets will happen.
As for how the athletes are now coping with the unexpected downtime.
Our athletes, like every other Bahamian, following the news, and so they're well aware of what's taking place in the country. I think persons would have seen the Minister of Health speak to it, the Prime Minister speak to it, and the need for really unnecessary travel at this time. And so obviously for our athletes it would be very disappointing. As you can imagine, you would have, particularly let's say for a track athlete who uses the entire fall to prepare for the spring, and then something like this happen, and then you don't really get to showcase or put your talents on display as best as you can. So I'm sure they're all disappointed. If there is a change, then we will adjust to that. But right now, as it stands, we're going to be in line with the University of the Bahamas.
In high school basketball news from overseas, Bahamian student athlete Joshua Dames has received one of his ultimate goals, receiving a NCAA Division I men's basketball offer. The athletic scholarship, his first, comes from the South Carolina State Bulldogs. The Bulldogs play in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, or the MEAC. They finished 8th in their conference with an 11-18 win-loss record last year. Now, Dames played with the BC Christian Prep Panthers in British Columbia, Canada this past season. He played on the Bahamas' under-16 boys national team in 2016. Dames was joined by fellow Bahamians Bradley Lightbourne and Kendrick Russell on the Panthers. The trio helped lead the Panthers to a 7-4 win-loss record on the season. For the 2019-2020 season, Dames was consistent and proved to be an asset to the team, averaging 18 points, 2.9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2.8 steals per game. He moved from New Providence to Grand Bahama, continuing his high school career. And this past season for the Panthers, he shot 62.5% from the field and 33% from deep. And that's been a look at sports. A quick check on weather is up next.
ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center.